Okay, good morning. Today we will discuss transportation problem, which is a part of the syllabus of MBA 106 of MBA course. That is MBA first year. In MBA 106 we have quantitative methods, and in quantitative methods module 1 we have linear programming and other things. One of the topics in linear programming problem is the transportation problem. So let us discuss what is transportation problem. Let us explain the problem first, and then we will be trying to solve the transportation problem. Transportation problem is one kind of linear programming problem. As you know that in linear programming problem has three parts. One is the objective function, then there are some constraints, and finally there is some non-negativity restrictions. But in case of transportation problem, it is written in a different manner, and we try to explain and solve transportation problem following a different time model. So let's explain what is a transportation problem. Here you can see this is a matrix, this is a cost matrix given in case of transportation problem. Now the job is there O1, O2, O3 are three origins or from where the things are to be transported. A transportation problem actually is related to the transport of the goods from warehouses to the outlets. For every company, manufacturing company, the things that have been manufactured somewhere and it is sold from somewhere else. So, and the manufactured products are stored in the warehouses, and here we denote this O1, O2 and O3 are the warehouses or origins from where the things are being stored. And from the warehouses, it's the job of the company to transport the goods to the different destinations. Here in this particular example, we are writing D1, D2, D3 and D4 are four destinations or outlets where it is to be transported from the origins to the destinations. And this particular matrix is a cost matrix. We assume in this particular problem there are three origins and four destinations, and it is written in terms of a matrix. This is a cost matrix. It implies that these are the per unit transportation cost from each origin to different destinations. So here 21 means if you are transporting 1 unit from origin 1 to destination 1, the per unit transportation cost is 21 units, maybe 21 rupees, 21 paise. Whatever be the case, every cost is in the same denomination. So in this case 19 means if you are trying to transport from O2 origin 2 to destination 4. So that gives you the transportation cost. So this matrix gives you the different transportation cost from different origins to different destinations. Now also we can see the availability and demand. So origins have the availability and destinations have the demand. So what is the meaning of availability? As I have said, the origins are the warehouses. So in the warehouses the things are stored. So actually these values are the number of things, number of products that have been stored over there. So availability, O1 has availability 100 units, means from O1 you can distribute, transport 100 units, maximum of 100 units. From O2 you can distribute 80 units, like that. And the destinations has demands. So by some knowledge, by some previous knowledge, it can be calculated or it can be known that destination D1 has a demand 65 units, destination 2 has demand of 75 units, and like that. So for different demands, for different destinations, could be same demand, could be different demand, doesn't matter. But actually this is what the transportation problem looks like. So you have to transport different units from, you have to transport the finished goods from different origins to different destinations. That is the job. Now, in mathematical terms, in optimization terms, the practical problem is here, the objective is you have to transport in such a way, you have to transport from different origins to different destinations in such a way that the total cost, total transportation cost becomes minimum and the availabilities are exhausted and demands are fulfilled. That is the objective. So we have to transport the finished goods in such a way from different origins to different destinations that the availabilities are to be exhausted, the demands are to be fulfilled, the constraints, and the total transportation cost is minimum. So as you have said, this is a linear programming problem. The objective of this problem is to minimize the total transportation cost, and the constraints are the availabilities and the demands. So constraints are availabilities means you cannot move more than the availabilities from the origins, and you should not distribute what is demanded in the destinations. So these are the constraints, and obviously you are transporting either some units or no units from different origins to different destinations. So the values, the transportation units, number of transportation units that are to be transported are either greater than or equals to 0. It cannot be negative. So non-negativity constraints are also been non-negativity constraints are also been satisfied. So this is a special kind of linear programming problem, and it can be written as a different linear programming problem also. It can be written in the terms or in the form of linear programming problem also. Now as you can see, there are different values in different places. It is quite possible in some places there is no value. Maybe here it is possible there is a dash there. That means from O2 to D3 no units can be transported, or in other words you can say that it's quite a large cost of transporting from different origin from O2 to D3. So we will not transport any units from O2 to D3. So let's go back to what was there. So 24. We have written 24 over here. Now, as we have said, this is a transportation problem, and our objective is to find the minimize cost, and this transportation problem is solved using an algorithm called. In fact, there are different steps of solving the transportation problem. But let's write down the corresponding linear programming problem for this transportation problem. So how we can convert this to linear programming problem possible? How we can convert this to linear programming problem? Now let's see how we can convert this to. Linear programming problem. Now, in general, when we explain the transportation problem, the costs are denoted by Cij. So Cij is the cost in the ith row and jth column. So per unit transportation cost of transporting the goods from ith origin to jth destination, that is denoted by Cij. And we denote our decision variables are Xij is the number of units that will be transported from ith origin to jth destination. So Xij is my number of units that will be transported from ith origin to jth destination. So that means if I write, this means this is x11, that means from origin 1 to destination 1 I have transported x11 units. So as it comes, we use the x as the variable, so here xij is the generalized variable. So in this case this will be x second row and third column, so this is x23, and similarly each way we can find out. So in general all of them are xij. Now I am trying to explain the problem in terms of generalized way. So let's rub this particular table, and how can I write the problem in the linear programming form. So as we have said, our main objective is to transport in such a way that the total cost is minimum. So how can we get the total cost? So per unit cost is Cij, and I am transporting Xij unit. So Cij into Xij is my total transportation cost for each cell. And then if I take the double summation, sum over I and sum over j, then this gives my total cost. And our objective is to minimize this total cost. So minimize C, that is the total cost, is double summation Cij into Xij. So that covers the rows as well as the columns. When I varies, j, when I is constant, j varies, and when j is constant, I varies. So in general, if we are having I equals to, if we are having a cost matrix of say m cross n, means if we are having m rows and n columns, so I is equals to 1 to m, j equals to 1 to n. So that gives you the total cost subject to the constraints, subject to, if we take the availability constraints, that is summation xij, sum over j. So j is my column, summation xij, j is my column. So for rows we have the availabilities. So for the rows we have to add, for a particular row we have to add all those amount that we have transported. So for that the column will be variable. So summation xij will be less than equals to bi, where bi is the availability for the I equals to 1 to m, and for the columns it will be summation xij, sum over I. So this gives my demand. So for a particular column it is transported for a particular destination, it could be transported from all the origins. So in that case we will be getting aj. So summing over I, we get xij is less than equals to, so aj's are the demands for jth, aj is my demand for jth destination, and bi is the availability for the ith origin, and here j is from 1 to n. And obviously the last non-negativity restriction that we have is xij is greater than equals to 0, because we cannot transport the amounts from one unit to one particular origin to different destination, cannot transport negative units. The -5 units we are transporting, that's an absolutely absurd thing. So either we transport or we do not transport. If we do not transport, the value becomes 0. So that is for all ij. So this is the corresponding linear programming problem. As we have said, the linear programming problem, each linear programming problem has 3 parts. So this is my objective function. This is the objective function that we are talking about. This is the objective function. Then these are the constraints. These are the constraints. And this is the non-negativity restriction. So and everywhere the highest power of the variable is, maximum power of the variable is 1. So that is why it is a linear programming problem. So this is how we have converted the transportation problem to a linear programming problem. Okay, so we have converted the transportation problem to linear programming problem. Now let's go back to the problem and see how we can solve the transportation problem. We'll see how to solve this transportation problem. Before we solve the transportation problem, as we have said, we use different algorithm for solving the transportation problem. It is not the same way that we solve the simplex method, as the linear programming problem is solved using the simplex method or the big M method, but we use some different algorithm for transportation problem. Now let's discuss the transportation problem solving algorithm. Now we'll be discussing with different steps. Step 1 is we have to check whether the problem is balanced or not. Now the problem will be balanced if the total availability is equal to the total demand. So if we add the availability, that is 100 plus 80 plus 90 is 270. So total availability is 270 and total demand is 65 plus 75 is 140. 140 plus 75 is 215. 215 plus 55 is 270. Yes, so total demand is also 270. That means this particular problem is balanced. So if the problem is balanced, as we have said, the first step of solving the transportation problem is to check whether the problem is balanced or not. So if the problem is balanced, we will go to step 2. Now let's also discuss if the problem is not balanced, then what can happen. Now the problem could not be balanced in two ways. Either demand is more or the availability is more. Then in that case, what can be done? So let's change this value. Say let's change this value to 65. So if you change this value to 65, then in that case the total demand becomes 280 and total availability is 270. So if the total demand is 280 and the total availability is 270, no way it is possible to distribute 280 units. So there is less availability. That means we need something else, some more origins or some more place where the extra amount of units are to be stored. So if the total demand is more, what we will do? We will introduce another origin. We will introduce another origin with say another fictitious origin, say 04, where per unit transportation cost will be 0 units and the remaining balance, so in this case it will be 10. So the values were, here it was 65, then 75, then 75 and 65. So in this case, now the problem becomes balanced. Again I am saying, if the demand is more and availability is less, we will introduce one fictitious origin with transportation cost as 0 units and make the problem balanced. So it is important to make the problem balanced first. And now, for the other way around, if the demand is less and the availability is more, so we had 65, 75 and 55 was our original problem, and say suppose in this case it is 90, so total availability is 280 units and total demand is 270 units. So availability is more means always there will be always 10 units which cannot be distributed, but to go to the second step we have to make the problem balanced. So if the availability is more, then we will introduce one fictitious destination or one fictitious destination with cost as 0 units, D5. If availability is more, then we introduce one fictitious destination with cost as 0 unit, and then the problem becomes balanced. See, this is 280, this is also 280. So now the problem is balanced, and we can proceed to the next step. So the problem. Okay. So as I have said, the first thing is to check the problem is balanced or not. So if the problem is not balanced, you have to balance the problem by either introducing the fictitious origin. If the demand is more, then you have to introduce the fictitious origin. If the demand is less, then you have to introduce a fictitious destination with the cost as 0, with transportation cost as 0. So let's go back to our original problem and try to solve the problem. So this was the original problem. Availability was 100, 80 and 90, and this is 270, and this is also 25, 7, 12, 7, 19 plus 25, 270. So 270 is the total, so it's balanced. So that's the first step is done. If it is not balanced, so you have to balance it. So then we go to the second step. So second step is to find the basic feasible solution. To find the initial basic feasible solution for the transportation problem. Now the initial basic feasible solution can be found out in using three methods. One is called northwest corner method. The second method is called the matrix minima method. And the third method is called VAM or Vogel's approximation method. Mind that all these three methods are there to find out the initial basic feasible solution. Now, as we have said, there are three things to answer. There are three questions to answer. We have to distribute, we have to take some units from some origin to some destination. And the third question that is to be answered is how many units. So from where to where, the two questions. And the third question is how many units. So our decision variable has three different parts. Xij that we have defined, Xij. Ij is important, means from where to where, which origin to which destination, and X is the number of units, how many units to be transported from which origin to which destination. So all these three methods actually tells you from where to where. All these three methods tells you from which origin you have to transport to which destination. So those two questions will be answered by these three methods, and for the number of units we will always take the minimum of availability and demand. So let's explain this particular method, northwest corner method first. So in northwest, what is north and west? In a map, what is north? This is north, and what is west? This is west. So north and west. So this northwest corner method tells you always allocate top left corner. Always allocate top left corner cell. So from where to where? So top left corner is this particular cell. So that means always allocate here, top and left. So that is, if I am deciding I am allocating here, means I am allocating from origin 1 and I am allocating to destination 1. So from where and to where, that has been decided. Now how much? As I have said, it's always between demand, minimum of demand and availability. So here I am allocating means where I am allocating the demand, I am allocating to destination D1. D1's destination's demand is 65 units, and here I am allocating means I am allocating from origin 1. So availability of origin 1 is 100 units. So minimum of 165 is 65 units. So that means I allocate 65 units here. So that means my X11 is 65. That means I am transporting from origin 1 to destination 1 how many units? 65 units. So destination 1, so 65, destination 1's demand was 65 and that is already fulfilled. So 65, so I have used up 65 units. What I have left with 35 units from origin 1, and destination 1 is already demand is fulfilled. So destination is, and will block this particular column, and this demand is already fulfilled. And as we are saying that this is an algorithm, this will be repeated again and again, and every time we make a change, if the problem is originally balanced, it will always remain as balanced. See, check, now check, we are having this particular matrix now. So if we add this, 75 plus 75 is 150, 150 plus 55 is 205, and if you add this thing, 80 plus 90 is 170, 170 plus 35 is also 205. So if the originally problem is balanced, then it will always remain as balanced. So we will continue to do, again we will repeat the same step. Top left corner is my, this is my top, and this is the left corner is this. So here I will be already allocating, this is the cell O1 D2 or cell 1 2. So this is the position that I will be allocating, and how much I will allocate. Availability is 35 and demand is 75. I cannot give 75 units because I only have 35 units with me. So minimum is to be put. So I put 35 here. So if I put 35, this is exhausted, and still here 40 units to be again given. And because O1 is already exhausted, I have already given 100 units, so I will block origin 1. So nothing more I can give from origin 1. So I am left with only this particular part. See, 80 plus 90 is 170, and if you add this, this will also be 170. So again we'll do the same thing. Top left, so top left is here. Availability is 40 and demand is, availability is 80 and demand is 40. Why should I give more than 40? Because if I give more than 40, it will not be sold. So I will put minimum value, so 40. So this goes, this is 40, and so now we have this, top left is this one. So again this will be 40, repeating the same steps again and again. 35 is remain, and last two we have only 35 and 55, and here is 90. So if you add 35 with 55, this gives you 90. So here it will be 35 and here it will be 55, and all is given. So all is given. We have already allotted whatever we had. Now finally we will write down our allocations this way. So these are my allocated cells, so Xij values. So if we write this position, that's X11 is this value, X11 is 65, X12 is 35, then next one is X22 is 40, X23 is 40, then finally these two are X33 is 35 and X34 is 55. So these are the units that I have transported, and we will calculate the total cost, initial cost as I have said, these are the per unit transportation cost. So I am transporting 65 units. So that means the total cost will be, as we have said, double summation Cij into Xij. So that is 21 into 65 plus 20 into 35 plus 23 into 40 plus 24 into 40 plus 20 into 35 plus 23 into 55. So if you calculate, it will give you the initial cost, and you can use the calculator to calculate and find the initial cost. You can find the initial cost as this is. We can find the initial. So if you multiply this will be, we can find the value as 5910. This is by total transportation cost. This is by initial transportation cost. Mind that this cost is not the optimum cost. Our objective is to find out the minimum transportation cost. But this is the initial allotment. This is the initial allocation. It could be minimum. It may not be minimum. But it could be, it is one basic solution, one of the possible solution, that this is the one way that we can distribute from different origins to different destinations. With this is the amount of cost that will be there for the company if we distribute this way. So this particular method does not follow any mathematical logic. So this is not a very good method to opt. So students are requested not to use this particular method, but there are other two methods like matrix minimum method and Vogel's approximation method. Those two methods are better than this particular method. So it is better to use those two methods to find out the initial cost. But that is not the ultimate step. And finally, there is another step where we have to find the optimum cost, and that will be optimality test in the third step, through which we can find the optimal transportation cost, where the minimum transportation value would be obtained. Thank you.